If you've ever wondered what you'd do if someone hurt your friend, and you had the power to completely upend their life, stick around. Because this is the story of how I got revenge on a guy who crossed the line. And trust me, it's not what you'd expect. Back in the early days of the internet, when everything felt new and full of potential, I was just another student at my local junior college. Not long into the semester, I moved in with my girlfriend. Let's call her Lucy, so we could both save on rent. Life was simple, and we were happy. One night, Lucy told me she'd invited a friend from one of her classes over for a game night. Sounded good to me. We called up a couple of other friends, and the night turned out to be a blast. The surprise came when Lucy's friend Sarah walked in. Turns out, I actually knew Sarah from high school. We weren't close, but we got along fine, and it was nice to reconnect. After that, Sarah became a regular at our place. She'd come over for dinner, game nights, or just to watch a movie. Sometimes she brought her boyfriend Jay, but he never really fit in. He was always quiet, standoffish, and seemed like he'd rather be anywhere else. No one felt comfortable around him, but we kept inviting him out of politeness to Sarah. Thankfully, he only showed up a couple of times before finding excuses to avoid us. A month or two into this routine, everything changed. One night, Sarah called Lucy, crying. She asked if she could come over, and of course, we said yes. When she arrived, she was a mess. Through tears, she told us that Jay had gotten furious with her for spending so much time at our place. He'd accused her of cheating, though she never said if he thought it was with me, Lucy, or both of us. Either way, it was ridiculous. But Jay didn't stop at words. He started yelling, calling her all kinds of nasty names. When she tried to leave, he shoved her. She tripped over a coffee table, fell, and ended up with a huge bruise on her lower back and butt. Lucy told me about the bruise. Sarah had shown her, but I didn't see it myself. Sarah insisted Jay had never laid a hand on her before, and she believed it was just an accident. But I was furious. You don't mess with my friends, and you definitely don't assault women. I wanted revenge. I'm a big guy, but I've never been in a fight, and violence isn't my thing. Still, I couldn't just let it go. That's when a different kind of plan started to form. At the time, I worked as a student employee in the administration building. That meant I had access to student records, fees, and class schedules. The deadline to drop or add classes without penalty was coming up fast. I looked up Jay's info in the system, got his student ID and everything else I needed, and waited for the perfect moment. On the very last day to change schedules, I used the dedicated enrollment phones in the admin building. This was before online class scheduling was a thing, and dropped every single one of Jay's classes. But I didn't stop there. I went through and added every class I could find that had a course fee. At our school, if you owed money, you couldn't get transcripts or anything else until you paid up. There was another detail. Jay was a foreign student. If he wasn't enrolled in enough units, he couldn't legally stay in the country. I wish I could tell you more about the fallout, but I didn't want this traced back to me, so I kept my distance. I didn't even check his records again for a while, but I did get a little taste of justice. Sarah was nervous about seeing Jay again. She'd broken up with him the night after he pushed her, because they had an English class together on Tuesdays. She told us that when she showed up, Jay was there, but so was a new student, standing because there weren't enough seats. The teacher noticed the extra person, checked the roll, and guess who wasn't on it? That's right, Jay. He tried to argue, but the teacher had the official roster, and Jay's name wasn't there. There was nothing he could do. Sarah said she never saw him in that class again. Eventually, Lucy and I broke up, and I didn't see much of Sarah after that. Out of curiosity, I checked Jay's schedule later on. All the classes with course fees were gone, and he didn't have any other classes on the books. I like to think he got kicked out, but I never tried to confirm it. Either way, Sarah didn't have to share a class with him again. Maybe it was harsh, but when I remember what he did, I know he deserved it. Mess with me if you want, but never mess with my friends.